Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast. I am your host, Ross Bolen, here again with the man they call J-Bone, Jared Borislow. Jared, it's your least favorite time of year weather-wise with the total and utter lack of sunshine. How are you holding up so far?
On days like today, I'm fine with it because it's raining, you know?
But because you're stuck in here working.
Yeah, but also I think if it's raining out, like I don't care if it's gloomy, right?
Because it matches.
Yeah. And if I'm not going to be able to go outside and enjoy the sunlight because it's, well, I guess it doesn't sun, I don't know. Okay,
It
question.
doesn't sun?
This brings, no, I was going to say sun showers. We have those in Florida all the time where it's sunny
sure.
out,
And
but
you get
it
a little
rains.
sprinkling. Yeah.
Which then I'm like, oh man, I wish it wasn't raining.
Because it's ruining the sunshine.
Yeah.
But in this case, you're cool with it.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be outside because it's raining and it's gloomy out as well. So like, whatever, I'm stuck inside is fine.
I agree with you that the rain, in addition to the gloominess, does make it feel a little more appropriate. But on the whole, this blows.
It's also cold.
Yeah, it's cold. It's shitty. It feels like winter, and it's in the middle of November. If you're listening and you're like in the Northeast or some shit, we never know what we're gonna get down here, man. It's like a total crapshoot. And I feel like this is so cliche to talk about in Texas, but like, you never know what you're going to get in Texas with the winter.
Yeah.
But we really fucking don't. And it's fairly annoying. Like, I had to turn the heater on in my house for the first time ever in the new house, and it didn't work. And so then I had to have an HVAC guy come out, and it turns out the filter in my heating system was so clogged up with like bits of like drywall and shit from the construction we did on the house before we moved in that I didn't know where this filter was. It was in an attic I'd never been in. Anyway, the point is it was just this whole thing, and I was freezing, and I was like, I had a little cold at the same time. But I used to mock you for what do you call it? Seasonal
Affective disorder.
Affective disorder.
Also, the acronym is SAD.
Yeah, the first time you brought it up, I thought that was funny. I don't think it's funny anymore. And I'm right there with you because this is just shitty.
Now, it hasn't, like, this sucks generally, but, like, it takes a few weeks of this minimum for it to really affect me.
Day two, and I'm
Yeah,
down.
that's
I'm
not
down
good.
in the dumps.
Well, it's because you didn't have seasonal affective disorder for years. You just got it now. It's late onset.
I know. I don't know why that happened. But other than that, I think I finally developed carpal tunnel syndrome.
I saw this. I saw you got one of those wrist guards, like a...
I had to get two of them.
Oh.
After over a decade of typing and tweeting and texting all day, every day, it's finally happening. And I'm not joking. Like, it's my thumb pads right here. They hurt really, really bad, but in particular at night when I'm trying to sleep. And I noticed that one of the things it's like something to do with the way I'm sleeping too. It's not just the way I use my hands during the day. I'm sleeping like with my hands curled up or something weird, and it's causing pain, and it's waking me up at night. So I had to buy two hand guard thing, like to wear to sleep.
You're like a geriatric tennis player.
And they're not Mueller brand braces like your knee brace was.
That's the only good one.
But I do regret mocking your knee brace now as well. I should just stop making fun of you because the karma is coming back on me like twofold every time.
Are you gonna have to get surgery?
I hope not.
My dad had to get it recently.
I was Googling hand surgeons yesterday. That's how bad it is. But yeah, it turns out I could end up in here podcasting with dual hand braces. I'm turning into that fat man in South Park's World of Warcraft episode.
Didn't you used to date a girl in college whose nickname was the hand surgeon?
What?
Because she was like with her hands and stuff.
No idea, folks. But out of all the things I've experienced in life that have made me feel like I'm 35 years old, this is at the top. Like, it's not close. If any of you have any experience with carpal tunnel syndrome, holler at your boy. We can have a discussion, perhaps even on Twitter.
Do you know what the carpal tunnel is?
Nope.
Isn't that like a tunnel you carpool?
Well, I thought you were going to tell me.
No, there's a carpool lane, right?
Okay, it was
There's
another joke.
A carpal tunnel. Like they built a tunnel into a mountainside. The regular highway goes around the mountain, but the carpool tunnel is if you have two plus people riding in your car, you just go right through the fucking mountain.
Jared, we haven't got to talk about this, but you and I, one of the podcasts that we've done for years now, Freeze All Motor Functions, covering HBO's Westworld, will we're going to have to make a decision here because the show has been canceled. Westworld was finally canceled.
Yes.
And famously, you and I covered season 3 at the beginning of the pandemic when I was going through my divorce and shit, and it was like the most miserable season of podcasting in the history of the medium.
Yeah.
And one of the worst seasons of television perhaps ever created in season 3 of Westworld. We didn't even know if they'd be back for 4. They came back for season 4, sort of recovered the footing of the story and made the show decently entertaining again. And then they're not able to come back for season 5. HBO pulled the plug on this thing. How do you feel about this?
So if you did listen to FAMF, Freeze All Motor Functions, FAMF.
It was great. We had great fun covering Westworld. We did.
We had great fun. But we did say at the end of it that we would not be surprised if they pulled the plug because the way they ended, I'm not going to spoil it, but the way they ended this last season was in a way where it made sense if that was the series finale.
Yeah.
Because it kind of like brought everything full circle and left it really open-ended to where it's like, okay, well, they're either going to come back and like actually make this, go somewhere, or they're just going to like leave it here and then it's going to be one of those things that's like open to interpretation, like the ending of The Sopranos. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It's kind of where it's at.
Yeah. I mean,
and not surprised that they canceled it.
Not surprised either, especially because the showrunners, Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan, have an Amazon show now called The Peripheral. It's similar in sort of subject matter, I'll say.
What?
Which I feel like HBO, I don't know if they just forgot to put in their contract, like, and by the way, while you're doing Westworld with us, you can't do any other shows that are similar with other, studios. But they did, and I'm assuming that pissed people off at HBO, on top of the fact that they tanked the 3rd season of Westworld on HBO.
It was bad.
So yeah, they got the plug pulled, and as such, you and I feel like we should do one more FAMF to like say goodbye to everybody at some point.
Well,
but
what if they bring it back though?
They can't bring it back. It's over. Maybe in like 30 years.
Here's what I saw people say was, well, they did a Deadwood movie like what, 12 years later?
Yeah, but Deadwood was a great TV show, like season after season after season. This is like one great season, one okay season, one of the worst seasons ever made, and then an attempt to recover. I don't know if that's worthy of a movie.
What if it's a prequel, and it's like the Dr. Ford years? That'd be sick.
See, that would be kind of tight.
Anthony Hopkins, they gotta get that in fast because that man is
old as fuck.
Anthony Hopkins is very old.
See, I don't want to see them do all that like de-aging shit on him though. Nah, I'm out. It's over. But we had a good run. We had a good time. We appreciate everybody who rode with us on FAMF, Freeze All Motor Functions. If you ever do go back and watch Westworld, the podcast is available for you.
It is.
As a companion podcast.
And it's spoiler free. So if if this is your first watch through, you're like, you know what? I'm going to watch all the way through Westworld because for some reason, like you want to. Which,
I mean, if you like Jared and I and enjoy us talking, you will very much enjoy watching Westworld with us because like that's one of the things about doing these TV companion podcasts I've found. It doesn't even really matter. Like with season 3, for example, of Westworld, it was so bad, but people enjoyed watching the show and then listening to us freak out about it and bitch and moan. It kind of makes it twice as fun when you've got one of the companion podcasts to roll with it. So
it's one of those things where if you want to get invested in the story, season 1 of Westworld, greatest season, in my opinion, of TV of all time.
Jared's favorite, not a joke, Jared's favorite season of television ever.
Even more than season 4 of Burn Notice.
Which is really saying something.
Yeah, it truly is. Now, after you watch season 1, you're going to be like, wow, that was amazing. I'm so invested. And then if you're a completion-ist like I am, you're going to have to watch all the way through. And season 2 is good. Season 3, one of the worst seasons of television ever made.
Not good, yeah.
Season 4, recovery. So, like Ross said.
It's a fun ride.
It's a fun ride.
Not too many seasons to dedicate yourself to.
Exactly. And spoiler-free podcast episode, companions.
There you go.
Great way to spend a month of your life.
Absolutely. But yeah, R.I.P. to Westworld.
What are you going to miss the most?
Probably doing the FAMF horn. FAMF! That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the memories. We made a lot of memories along the way. Those I won't miss. I guess I'll hold on to those.
You have them.
Yeah.
Memories.
Today's episode is brought to you by Chime. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it checking your credit score? Didn't think so. At Chime, that's exactly what they do. With their secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, you can start to build credit with your own money. Chime reports your payments to credit bureaus to help you build credit over time. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average. All of this with no annual fees, large security deposits, or credit checks to apply. So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/RBP. That's CHIME.com/RBP. RBP. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank N.A. pursuant to license from Visa USA Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact to score may vary, and some users' scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM.
Can pick up a Slurpee while you're at 7-Eleven.
Hey, as most of you are well aware, Elon Musk ended up buying Twitter for over $40 billion in what I am officially labeling the worst purchase in the history of currency or capitalism. He could have bought like 10 professional sports teams, not an exaggeration, 10 professional sports teams, or just bought one professional sports team and then spent a record amount of money turning it into the greatest team ever assembled, depending on which league he joined, obviously, with the salary cap stipulations and rules.
Now, the issue is, do you think Elon Musk likes sports?
No, but the point stands. It's an absurd amount of dough to blow. So his grand plan, Elon, obviously, look, I'm not an Elon Musk fanboy. I'll say that up
you
front,
kinda
right?
used to be.
I mean, when I went and drove the Tesla for the first time, I was blown away. I was like, this is fucking genius. This is going to change the entire automotive industry. And that was all correct for the most part. What I didn't know at that point was that, first of all, Elon Musk did not start Tesla. He bought it. He is not the founder of Tesla. Two other dudes founded that company. This man just swooped in after the fact and bought this shit. So I didn't realize that, for one. And then two, Elon had not gone and decided to start meddling in all of the politics and social issues of America like he has as of late, which I would argue is largely the result of the Democratic Party and President Joe Biden's administration refusing to give Elon Musk any type of credit whatsoever when it comes to electronic vehicles or that movement, which is, I don't know, petty and weird and altogether backfired enormously if you're looking at the big picture of things, I think.
Also could be seen as petty by the Democratic Party to not just say a very easy...
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant by him.
No. I mean by the Democratic Party. By both. They're everyone here. Everyone in this situation looks like an asshole at this point. And that includes all of us, I think, as well. But his grand plan, essentially, like, first of all, just to give you the backstory, Twitter's been around, 15 years or something like that at this point?
Long time.
Long-ass time. And it's the longest-standing social media that I have used that is not Facebook, right? And I don't use Facebook. I exist on it in some form, but I haven't logged into that website in at least a few years. And even then, a few years ago, it was very sparingly to, like, post some shit for work or something. Facebook's been dead to me for a long, long time. Twitter... throughout the whole run of, the invention of Instagram, Snapchat, what are some of the other socials that have come and gone?
MySpace,
Friendster, all the different shit that's existed. Peach, my favorite. Twitter has maintained its importance in my life throughout, never really wavering from being the number one social media platform that I used. As a writer and as a dude who considers himself to be funny or witty, it's a great platform for me. I like tweet and I just like tweeting dumb shit too. It was far and away my favorite social media. And in its infancy, it was a growth platform where you could pick up a lot of followers. It's also my largest personal following. I have like 30,000 followers or whatever. It's more than I have on Instagram or anywhere else where it's just my name as the account, right? So my largest following, my favorite platform, but it's one that kind of fell into disarray. Like, it's not been great for a while. It has not been a growth platform for many, many years. And what I mean by that is you can't pick up followers on Twitter. It's not a thing that anyone is doing. I mean, some people, sure. But it is a very slow grind. It is not like with TikTok, for example. We have probably picked up as a company in the last year and a half, 2 years, I don't know, 300,000 plus followers on, at least 350,000 followers on TikTok.
I would say around 350,000.
In that time, as a company, and that's counting all of our brands, we've probably picked up 5,000 followers on Twitter. That's a significant fucking gap. It is not a growth platform, is what I mean. So, aside from that, it's really just the place where I get all my news, because Twitter is always way, way ahead of your mainstream news outlets. I mean, if you're seeing something on CNN, it was on Twitter 15 hours ago. You know what I mean? Like, they're way behind typically. So Twitter is a great place to get breaking news, whether it applies to the stock market and finances or sports or whatever you're interested in. Twitter is far and away the best place to go get breaking information, right?
Whenever I see like whenever I hear about something or see like a ticker that like has like a breaking news thing, I just go immediately to Twitter, type in whatever that thing is, and I see the video of it. If it's a video of like some crazy football play, it's like Twitter is my go-to place for anything that's like topical.
Phenomenal content platform, but one that, like I said, had kind of fallen into mismanagement. Jack Dorsey is his last name,
That's
right?
what it is. I kept forgetting his name lately because he just goes by Jack, like a Brazilian.
Yeah. He was the guy in charge for a long time there, and he was the dual CEO of both Twitter and what is now called
Square.
Block.
Oh, Block.
Remember they changed the name to Block?
I love that. They just made the square three-dimensional and turned it into a block.
And then he made his title Blockhead, which really upsets me. Their stock has plummeted since the change, by the way, which I'm not happy about. But none of this is financial advice. No. And the point is, Elon, he made this offer to Twitter, like last year, to buy the company, signed contracts, $44 billion. Then he tried to back out of it, saying that they had misrepresented themselves by saying that they had way more daily active users than they actually did, when most of those users were in fact bots and spam trolls and not real valuable users. He failed to get out of that deal, ended up saying, fuck it, going through with it is the gist of it that I can understand. And his grand plan here was to eliminate spam and bots and scams, as he keeps mentioning. He says, we're trying to get rid of the bots and the scams.
There's a lot of scams. I mean,
what are the scams?
I get crypto scams DM'd to me every single day.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But he was going to get rid of all this with Twitter Blue, which is essentially a subscription version of the platform where you pay $7.99 a month. Anyone can, and you would get verification and the once coveted blue check mark, of which you and I have a long storied history with. At one point, you stole my original co-host Michael Weiner's identity on Twitter and had the blue check mark version of his account. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I stole Michael Weiner's Twitter account, made it into a malicious parody account.
You commandeered it.
I commandeered it, made it into a really offensive parody account of him.
Yes.
That was pretty slanderous on a lot of levels, pretty like reputation destroying, and then I proceeded to get that account verified
with the blue check mark.
With the blue check mark,
yeah.
And then I made him buy it back from me.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of fun on Twitter over the years, and the blue check mark is one of those things. Like, so we used to work at a media company that had like 50 people at it, okay, and nobody had a blue check mark. And I was the first person to get one because I had a buddy who worked in Silicon Valley who essentially got me hooked up with it because I was an author. I'd written a book, so I was able to argue, because I wrote this book, I need a check mark because I'm author. And they gave me one. And it was one of the best moments of my career, my whole career, when I got that check mark. I still remember the feeling that I was filled with. It was pure joy. Turns out all that is out the window now because any fucking idiot can just not true anymore. You can't, because this is all already gone. But the point is, a few days ago, last week, you could get on there, pay $7.99 and get verified. And that was his plan. He was like, everyone's going to have to pay $7.99 a month and you'll get verified, and this will eliminate the bots and the spam and the trolling and the scamming. And yeah, so just for some context here, it used to be that back in the day, if you saw a reply or a retweet, mention or whatever from a verified account, that was like the biggest rush that the site had to offer, right? Like when you and I got a reply from The Rock was one of the cooler days in the history of RVP. And so you would see like the blue check mark, it'd be somebody like The Rock or Chrissy Teigen or whatever. Now it could be anybody. It's like some peasant named Carl with 6 followers who's just a troll lord, and it's insane. There's zero reason for it. Just takes away the celebrity element of it, right?
And then what it adds in is, so Elon said that, the verification means that some human being had to pay $8, so it's going to cut down on all the bots, and because who's going to pay $8 for a shitty bot,
right?
With a verified check mark. But what he didn't seem to like grasp was that there are people willing to pay $8 to then make their account not themselves. It turned out it's a lot of people.
It is not going well.
Including somebody who created a account that was verified called Eli Lilly, and then said that insulin was free, and then Eli Lilly's actual stock price plummeted.
It is having very real world implications. This issue that is broken out on Twitter, which is like that's probably the best one so far.
And Eli Lilly is obviously a big pharmaceutical company.
Pharmaceutical
Makes insulin, one of the most needed medical things
in the world. Yeah, there are millions and millions of people that use insulin for like mostly diabetes, I believe. But it's it was a massive issue that like to the point that Elon was responding to tweets in this like chain trying to like remedy what was happening. Point being, if you were a company on Twitter like Eli Lilly that was then misrepresented by a blue checkmark carrying account, you are probably balls deep in a lawsuit right now. Like you're filing lawsuits. And this happened with a lot of companies, Nintendo, most of them. Most of the mainstream brands you're aware of had a parody version of them that popped up with a blue check mark that was not labeled parody, that was misrepresenting that company.
Yeah, and what I think Elon's major miscalculation here was, and maybe this is all calculated, maybe he knew this was going to happen, but he didn't care because he was going to get the biggest month in Twitter's history or whatever he's going to claim whenever this month is over.
It's actually not, and they're doing horribly. It's not making them very much
Well, I
money.
guess all their advertisers are pulling out for...
And they're losing all their advertisers,
Well, he said he wants to make it subscription-based, but I think what he didn't calculate for, again, maybe he did and he's just an idiot, was that a verification is not just specific to Twitter. Because it's on every platform has some form of verification, which has the same meaning across all of them, and that's that this person is the actual person they're saying they are, verified by the platform.
Yes.
What the fuck? Twitter goes, oh, no, our verification means it's a real human. Dude, it doesn't mean that it's actually the human it says they are. What's the point? What's the difference?
So immediately, people are misrepresenting themselves left and right as celebrities, brands, politicians, saying all kinds of hilarious, outrageous shit. There were probably 2,000 Elon Musk verified accounts tweeting out shit saying they were Elon Musk. To the point that they pulled it down. Like Twitter Blue is not even available right now. You can't even go pay the $7.99 if you want to. Like it's not on my app. It doesn't. The button is gone. It lasted like a week. Nobody knows what's happening now. And on top of that, Elon is firing everyone. And everyone who wasn't fired is resigning. Like he's firing people with tweets in some cases. He literally replied to one tweet, "He's fired," talking about a guy who was working at Twitter, calling Elon out for being wrong about something Elon was saying about Twitter online. This guy was like, no, I've been here for 6 years. That's incorrect. And somebody replied to that like, probably not a good attitude for an employee to have. And Elon replied, he's fired.
Was he actually fired?
Yes. It's really bad. So yesterday, the latest news is that they terminated 4,400 to 5,500 contractors, apparently without notifying them in advance. He had already laid off about half of Twitter's workforce and 15% of its trust and safety team, which is just a funny team to cut down in the midst of all this. Like, here, I'll just read you some of a couple articles covering some of this so we can get some more context here, and then we can dive in more. From The Verge. Following Musk's takeover, a number of Twitter executives have already resigned or been fired, and it's possible that more employees may lose their job over the company's new in-person work policy. So he also installed an in-person work policy, which is very controversial in Silicon Valley in 2022. Not so much elsewhere, but there it is. In a transcript of a Q&A session between Musk and employees obtained by The Verge's Alex Heath, Musk made it clear that workers must return to the office and that only, quote, exceptional people can work remotely. Basically, if you can show up in an office and you do not show up at the office, resignation accepted, Musk said. So let me read you a little more from the New York Times. On October 28th, hours after completing his $44 billion buyout of Twitter the night before, Mr. Musk gathered several human resource executives in a war room in the company's offices in San Francisco. Prepare for widespread layoffs, he told them. 6 people with knowledge of the discussion said. Twitter's workforce needed to be slashed immediately, he said, and those who were cut would not receive bonuses that were set to be paid on November 1st. Kind of a scumbag move.
Yeah.
So the executives warned him that his plan could violate employment laws and breach contracts with workers, leading to employee lawsuits, the people said. But Mr. Musk's team said he was used to going to court and paying penalties and was not worried about the risks. So Twitter's human resource, accounting, and legal departments scrambled to figure out how to comply with his command. 2 days later, Mr. Musk learned exactly how costly those potential fines and lawsuits could be, and delays were piling up as managers haggled over which employees to let go, so he decided to wait to cut jobs till after November 1st. So to get back to like where you were a few minutes ago with whether or not he's an idiot, which is my main thing I want to talk about today. The more I dig into it, read about the specifics around it, the more I think he is just a moron. Like, look, one of the things you learn the older you get is that there are plenty of really stupid, very successful people if you're looking at success from a monetary standpoint. A lot of rich dumbasses. A lot of them. A shocking fucking amount, I would say. And in the case of this guy, he got like, look, he's not a self-made human being. This is a dude who got his money from like his family's South African diamond mining situation or whatever the fuck. I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on that. But it's like family dough that he used to, I believe, found, like he's one of the founders of PayPal.
Yeah.
And then turned that money into buying Tesla, which turned him into the multi-billionaire that he is today, where he's worth like $250 billion or whatever.
Yeah, I think he became extremely wealthy when he sold PayPal or when he did something with PayPal.
Right.
And then it was one of those things where it's like, okay, what's my next thing? And then now he's a billionaire times many.
So as of today, he's worth like $200 billion.
It's a lot of money, Ross.
But $200 billion, would you take 44 of that and use it on Twitter if you were a smart man?
No, that's a shockingly large percentage of his net worth.
Just that decision alone makes me think he's kind of a dumbass.
But I do know that he did have I didn't know this till recently, but there's a lot of investors he brought in with
financing.
him.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works.
You know who the second largest investor in Twitter is now?
Who's that?
The Saudi royal family.
They're good people.
Not great.
They're good people.
So he took Twitter private. That's another big piece of the story. He pays the $44 billion. He says this cannot be a publicly traded company in order for it to run successfully and for all the changes that I need to make to be made. So he takes it private, which means anybody who owned Twitter stock got paid out, whatever the value of their stock was, because it's over. That stock no longer fucking exists. It's privately held now.
Did you get paid out?
No, I didn't own any Twitter though.
Oh, I thought you did.
I owned some at one point a few years ago. It was like when I first got into the stock market, it was one of the companies I was like, well, I love Twitter, I'll buy some Twitter. And then after a couple months of watching Twitter operate, I was like, I probably shouldn't own stock in Twitter.
Wait, so if you owned stock in Twitter, I feel like I have some somewhere. I don't know. I feel like I bought some a while back. Did I get bought? Did it get sold at whatever Elon bought it at?
I think so.
Nice.
Yeah. So in that regard, a lot of people with stock got paid some money, but it's not financial advice. But so he took it private, which means that again, it's now very unclear who exactly holds. It's like him at the top, but then there's lots of individual holders of the private stock, I guess. Again, he brought investors in with him, and there's a lot of banks involved in this whole financing of the $44 billion shit. Qatar, where the World Cup is about to take place, is another one of the largest investors in Twitter.
That's good.
Which is, again, it's just odd. It makes it all really weird with regard to what it's, if you bought it because you thought it was the world's town square, but then it's you, the richest man in the world, and then the richest family in the world, the Saudi royal family,
who are an oppressive regime,
who have some very controversial ties,
human rights issues,
and then Qatar and shit. It's just what do we do? What is the town square going to turn into? Well, we found out it's going to turn into a total shitstorm. But yeah, it's really at the point now where not only do I think the guy might be clearly in over his head, I don't even know. It's like he's 50 something, right? I don't think anybody at his age or older, he's probably around the bottom line, can really, really understand social media. Unless you grew up with it, you don't really get the power of it, right? Boomers don't know what the fuck is going on with social for the most part. They can use it, they can learn about it, but you don't really, really get it. And it's like he really, really didn't quite get it and went ahead and bought the fucking thing anyway, thinking he could fix it. And he has no shot in hell. And now nobody really knows what's going to happen because of the mass exodus of employees, whether let go, fired, or resigning. It's just a total mess. It's a disaster.
Are you going to go to Mastodon?
No, absolutely not.
Anybody who says, here's my Mastodon page, go follow me in case this thing gets shut down. I'm not going to go to Mastodon. What the fuck is Mastodon?
And what's wrong with you people? There is the replacement for this, if there ever will be one,
exists already.
You think it does?
I think it's a combination of all the other social medias. I don't think it's going to be I think the replacement for Twitter is just Twitter is gone, and now you spread out the time you would spend there across the other existing
But
platforms.
none of the other platforms have that product where I can just type in a sentence and send it out, except Facebook as my status.
Instagram stories.
God knows I'm not going back there. Instagram doesn't show your stories to anybody, though.
I don't know, man.
You know what I mean?
Maybe you know how we said editorial's been dying for a while now?
Yeah.
Maybe short form editorial's also dying. Maybe there's just no more words. It's only pictures and videos.
We're just all going to have to subscribe to each other's Substacks.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Gonna get Substacks from everybody.
What will be the biggest loss for you if it really does like go down in flames, which it very much looks
yeah.
like might be a real possibility now?
The only thing that has kept me going for the last 6 years of my life was the idea that maybe, just maybe, Trill Bollens would log back on and do the Smockin' tweet.
Just one more time?
Just one more time. And so, if Twitter's gone, that dream dies, and I might die with it.
If it really does die, which, again, looking more and more like it's not a joke and a distinct possibility, the biggest loss for me personally will be, without a doubt, sports news. Because the gap in reporting that I was speaking to earlier, where it's like, just to give a really dark example, if there's a shooting, you find out about that shit on Twitter within 2 minutes, in 45 minutes to an hour. And now part of this is because in classic journalism, you have to verify things and gather sources before you can report. Well, Twitter, you just fire out a fucking tweet and it's there. But the gap in news, that gap between Twitter and getting onto your TV, it's so much bigger with sports than it is with anything else. It would be like 2 days before I saw a story that I had already read on Twitter in the Houston Chronicle, for example, talking about the Astros or Rockets or Texans, the teams that I keep up with the most. So that will be like mainstream sports news was way behind Twitter, and that will be the biggest loss for me. Because what, am I going to go watch ESPN? What, am I going to go to ESPN.com?
Yeah, and they're going to tell you before every commercial break, we got the top 10 coming up next.
What?
And then you're 3 commercial breaks later, you're like, what the fuck? You told me the top 10 was coming next.
It's a miserable experience. I haven't had to do that, like ESPN.com for sports news in like fucking 8 or 9 years probably, and I am not willing to go back. So I'm just going to be I won't know shit about sports. Frankly, though, when I was thinking about this the other day, I was like, I have a group text group with my high school buddies, right? And we were talking about, the possibility of Twitter dying. And I was like, look, frankly, I think this would free at least a couple of us in here. We're Twitter people. And that's what a lot of Twitter's heavy users are, right? You're a Twitter person. You're on Twitter a lot, all day, every day, tweeting, checking out the news. And it kind of became like a lifestyle deal that now, for some of us, myself included, if it goes away, will be a massive shift in the day-to-day way I operate, which is really, really interesting. But I do feel bad for anybody that was heavily invested career-wise. Like, what if you were working there for like 10 years, and then this dipshit billionaire electric vehicle douche buys the thing, takes it private, and just pulls his pants down and diarrhea's all over it.
But if you had already bought your shares, then you'd probably be sitting pretty nice.
Financially.
Yeah.
But from like a career standpoint, it still
You just
blows.
quit.
Like
Just
everything
quit.
you've ever worked on, though, you know how this feels. We lost to the company that you and I worked on and the brands that you and I worked to build for the most part, minus the ones that I was able to pull out from our old company. That sucked when we had to see it go down in flames.
No,
and it
you
was
and
like
I
hundreds of
specifically-
hours of our lives.
You and I specifically built I believe, combined about 1.2 million followers on an Instagram account.
And I was going to say, if you combined the total Instagram accounts we worked on together, it's probably more like 3 million.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. It was a lot of work over a lot of years that then ended up being completely for naught.
Yeah, one of those accounts is now deleted. So
Completely gone. Like it doesn't exist because the jackasses who bought it got it banned.
they just completely ignored all of the
rules.
violations that they stacked up.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, it obviously it's like there's a lot of real world people being affected by the layoffs and all the bullshit that's going on. But from a much larger standpoint, I don't even know if it disappeared, would we all be better off? Because one of the things that we regularly talk about on this show is like the 24-hour news cycle or whatever it's become now, like the minute-to-minute news cycle, is killing all of us. It's miserable. We do not need to know all of this shit right when it happens, no matter where it happens, from all over the world, all of the bad news, all of the time, right in our faces. And Twitter is one of the main reasons that exists. When Twitter became a thing, it pushed the news cycle into fucking hyperdrive, and it has never gone back. It never looked back. And
because Twitter is the ultimate, like, you can be the first to this story because you can post it in 3 seconds.
And like I said, no sourcing needed. You can just tweet whatever the fuck. And it's one of the reasons it's such a dangerous platform, because you can tweet whatever the fuck with no sourcing needed, and nobody can verify whether or not it's true.
Especially if you have a verified checkmark.
And even less so now with all this Twitter blue horse shit. Now, to make matters even funnier, the man announces, all right, you're going to pay $7.99, you're going to get your check mark. A couple days later, it comes out that there's another check mark, though. An official check mark. Like, for instance, my check mark is still there. Your check mark is still there. If you click on your check mark, it says this person is verified because they are a member of the government or news
notable
or
entertainment person.
Notable entertainment or some other reason. If you click on somebody that had paid the $8, $7.99 rather, it says this person is verified because they subscribe to Twitter Blue.
Yeah.
But then there's another version that is below that just is like a circle with a check, and it says official, that was given out to like certain brands and companies and stuff.
Yeah.
It is such a fucking mess. I have never seen anything like it. It is the dumbest bunch of decisions made in a row, maybe ever. And the thing is, we are living in a world where like, who's the most mockable billionaire?
Bezos.
Zuckerberg, right?
Oh.
It's got to be Zuckerberg. Bezos, by the way, I think he recently announced that he's doing the whole Bill Gates thing where he gives away all of his money to charitable organizations. So maybe he's becoming slightly less shitty or trying to compete with his ex-wife.
I was going to say, I thought he already gave all of his money to his ex-wife.
You know, she's been like dishing out tens of millions of hundreds of millions of dollars in charitable in charitable donations like year after year after year. The lady is awesome. But Bezos himself, he's the jackass going to space all the time or whatever. Nobody expected this guy to turn into a massive philanthropist. So we'll see how that goes. But Zuckerberg and Meta are having one of the worst years in the history of business as well. Their stock is down like $800 billion in value or some crazy shit like that.
Yeah, they just laid off 11,000 employees?
Which is more than Twitter has laid off so far. And it's largely the result of them totally misinvesting into this metaverse bullshit, right? That like, maybe we're almost there, maybe that's going to be a thing soon, but we weren't as close as they thought we were, and people are not as into this as they thought they would be, and it's a fucking disaster.
This is going to be fun. It wasn't fun.
It wasn't. And Zuckerberg has to be the happiest person about all this Twitter shit, because it's like the spotlight has been completely deflected away from him. And I don't even feel the need to make fun of Mark anymore because Elon exists. And he seems to be like twice as stupid as Zuckerberg has ever been.
And all this is distracting from the fact that TikTok is still owned by China and still collecting all of our personal data.
Which I'm still not sure what that does for them. Like, what are they going to do with the fact that they know that like we all love titties or whatever? Like,
well,
what the fuck is China going to do with that?
I'll say this. Here's the one take I have on that, which we obviously can't post to TikTok or else, they're going to take all our account down completely. Forever.
True.
What I saw on an episode of 60 Minutes, great news program.
Big fan of 60 Minutes.
That little clock ticking.
Didn't one of the old guys, the classic guys, die recently?
Yeah, I think so. But then it came out he was like maybe problematic, I think. But,
oh, shocking. An old guy was problematic.
That's not that's a legend. It's also not financial advice. I don't know how it would be, but it's not.
Way to cover your bases, Bone.
Thank you. Here's what I discovered. Apparently, the Chinese version of TikTok, which has a different name, still owned by the company, though.
Really?
I believe so, yeah.
Huh.
Well, they are not as free of speech as we are.
They are not.
They have their own version. And guess what they do with their own version, Ross?
What?
They limit users to going on 30 minutes a day because they understand that it's a very addictive platform and they are having some sort of a guideline in place to not get you addicted and not have that, or,
Well, because they don't want all their
brain.
citizens just scrolling, I think it's called Douyin over there. Douyin, which is a completely separate entity. They don't want them scrolling that all day, not being productive and contributing to the motherland.
Yeah. And also they just know the bad effects that it has on your brain, but then when they give it to us, they're like, fucking do it.
Stay here. Keep scrolling. Yeah, it's a nightmare. But to take it back to Twitter, Also, this is like tanking Tesla stock because investors it's such a shitstorm out there, and I don't know how he's gonna fix it. Elon Musk. I don't know how he turns this around. What?
I don't think he is.
So you don't think? And this is the one thing I will say, because of where Twitter was and the massive lack of progress that had been made at any point recently, right? Like, it's how many years since they added a new feature that was good?
They never have.
I mean, it's been...
They made them longer. It used to be 120, right? Now it's 240.
Yeah, we got more characters at one point. Then they made it to where you could put like multiple photos and videos in a single tweet recently. That was one of the cooler things I've seen, but I'm still not sure that's good even. It just... Out of all the platforms, whether it be Instagram or whatever, like, and I'm not saying they've done a great job, but they have made changes, made improvements, attempted to push the platforms forward into new spaces and keep them interesting and lively, right? Twitter's never done shit. It's been a mess. They clearly had way too many fucking employees. I don't know why you would possibly need like 10,000 people working on that side. I guess it's just, and I'll admit openly that I don't know about coding. I don't know about what it takes to run something like what they've got going on there. But it does feel like if there was ever an opportunity to like burn it to the ground and rebuild it into something better, this is it, right? Like, and now he's kind of got to be all in. Elon, who at least on some level has to be good at what he does, I think. Right? Does anybody know?
I'm not entirely sure.
Do we know anything? Like, that's like, it's so misleading. Is anybody that we think is smart actually even fucking smart? What is this?
I think smart's relative.
This guy stinks, though. He's awful.
Remember when you tried to get him on the podcast? Like, a lot?
Yeah, well, I don't know about a lot.
A few different times he was added.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
Ironically. And it was because I had a blue check mark that I thought we might have a chance. Not so the case anymore. Probably 40,000 blue check marks a minute tweeting at this dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my friendship with The Rock has been completely severed by this. He'll never see my name again.
Yeah, he recently responded to you. But was that before all this?
Yeah, it was before all this. It's never gonna, that type of interaction is gone.
He didn't follow you, did he?
No.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's over. And that's the thing about Twitter that was so much fun, is it like think about it. What other platform can you at or send a message to a celebrity, like a real A-list celebrity, and they're going to respond or even maybe see it?
There is one.
What?
OnlyFans, but...
Oh, well, you're paying, though. Maybe that's what he should have bought. He should have bought OnlyFans.
You know what?
That would have been a much better investment.
And a PR win. Sex positivity is big right now. And
true,
he loves to have sex.
He does. Big on procreating.
The fact that he didn't buy OnlyFans for like $10 billion is shocking.
Mistake. And he could have turned that into the like next iteration of Twitter with nudes and weird fucking that's speaking of scams, that place has to just be an absolute disaster with scamming.
Yeah. I
have to assume. But yeah, Elon's Twitter nightmare is very real now, and it is not going well. I don't know how it's going to end, Jared, but I'm cautiously hopeful that it can be turned around and saved one day, because I loved Twitter. Now I'm kind of just disgusted by everything that's happening, but it would be a shame if we lost it all just because this jackass thought he could handle it and he can't.
Mm-hmm.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Trade Coffee. If you love drinking coffee every morning, and who doesn't, you have to check out Trade Coffee. Trade makes it super easy to get the best coffee delivered fresh from the finest local roasters around the country. We're big coffee boys here at Bolen Media, so we love Trade Coffee. And all the new blends we've been able to try since getting our subscription at the office. Trade Coffee is a coffee subscription service that makes it so simple for you to discover new coffees and make your best cup of coffee at home every day. No fancy equipment required. Trade partners with the nation's top-rated independent roasters to send you coffee that they know you'll love, fresh to your home and on your preferred schedule. And you get to support small local businesses, a win-win. Whether you already know what you like or are new to specialty coffee and need some help, Trade makes it easy and convenient to discover new coffees. They'll send you ground coffee or whole beans or however you make your coffee at home. So whether you're just getting started or a coffee aficionado looking to discover something new, Trade guarantees you'll love your first bag or they'll send you a new one for free. Our latest blend from Trade Coffee is Colombia. It's chock full of that nutty sweetness we love in a Colombian coffee, a perfectly balanced cup that has become my daily drinker with hints of nut, milk, chocolate, and citrus. It's from Necessary Coffee in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it's delicious. Upgrade your coffee today with Trade Coffee and let them take the guesswork out of finding your perfect cup. Right now, Trade is offering the RBP gang a total of $30 off your subscription plus free shipping at drinktrade.com/RBP. That's drinktrade.com/RBP for $30 off your subscription to the best coffees in the country. drinktrade.com/RBP.
I love Trade because I grind my own beans, Ross.
Oh yeah.
I've got a burr grinder. If you
want to grind my beans, Jared?
If you've got like a blade grinder, you get the fuck out of here.
It smells so good.
You gotta have a burr grinder. I love it because I literally just get whole beans shipped to me from small independent roasters across the country. Get to try out all these different beans, Ross.
Beans, Jared. The magical fruit.
Yeah, exactly. The more you drink Trade,
the more awake you feel.
that's not as good as
not how it goes.
Original, but
fresh from the Andes, this one. Love it. It's got the holes in the back so you can smell it and everything. drinktrade.com/RBP.
It's not what the holes are for, but
that's what they are for me. I've got some insane headlines of the day for you. First one. United States Space Force has had secret space plane orbiting Earth for over 2 years. This is from Florida Today, which I assume is your favorite news outlet.
Is that real?
It is, I swear.
Is that a real outlet? It sounds exactly like...
Well, it's a real outlet. I don't know if it's a real news outlet. A secretive Space Force space plane streaked across Florida early Saturday, generating unmistakable sonic booms en route to landing at Kennedy Space Center that wrapped up another record-breaking mission. Dozens of sonic boom reports surfaced as X-37B, a robotic military spacecraft that looks like a miniature space shuttle, followed an eastern path across the state, eventually landing at Kennedy Space Center's launch and landing facility. All told, this thing is a 30-foot space plane. It spent 908 days in low Earth orbit, shattering the previous record of 780 days. Its purpose is largely secret, but the Department of Defense says some of its secondary duties include hosting military research payloads, science experiments, and even NASA investigations. Very specific, thank you. Though physically small, X-37B has captured countless headlines since its first launch in 2010, mainly due to secrecy, but also because of its unprecedented ability to stay in orbit for years at a time. It also has the ability to stealthily change its position in orbit. With the successful completion of its sixth mission, the reusable space plane has now flown over 1.3 billion miles and spent a total of 3,774 days in space. Boeing, which built both the X-37Bs in service, said in a statement, quote, "It conducts experiments for government and industry partners with the ability to return them to Earth for evaluation." What the fuck? It's one of those stories that makes you wonder, like, all right, we're aware of, like, for Elon Musk, for example, SpaceX. They're firing all kinds of crazy satellites up into the sky for Starlink and all the different crazy space services and internet shit that he's got going on. We've got secret Boeing space planes that have been flying around the planet in secrecy for, 908 days, multiple fucking years.
Then there's always a Chinese space trash that could just fly out of the sky and kill you at any minute.
What the hell is going on up there? Doesn't it feel like it would probably be like you exit the atmosphere and it's just like a shitstorm of like different things swirling around and flying by? And
it's the wild north. That's what they call it.
I almost feel like, we're all worried about like a comet coming and smashing into the planet or whatever. Don't look up. Like it wouldn't even be possible because it'd just get deflected by one of the 4,000 things in the way when it comes towards Earth. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, I'm always fascinated by the stories like this, especially as we've confirmed now that UFOs are apparently a real thing that the government is dealing with. How is that possible with the amount of shit that we have out there monitoring all this? That anything gets by into our atmosphere that we're not aware of.
Well, they know about it. They just don't know what it is.
Or they don't want to tell us, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I wish they'd stop declassifying shit. It's just making me more and more paranoid. Next story.
You don't want to see them aliens?
Not really.
Okay.
Minnesota couple finds 1.9 carat diamond at Crater of Diamonds visit. So a couple from Minnesota stopped at the Crater of Diamond State Park while on their 10th anniversary road trip, where they found a nearly 2-carat brown diamond. Their names are Jessica and Seth Erickson from Chatfield, Minnesota. Found the diamond on the morning they visited America's only public diamond mine. So this is a public diamond mine. You pay, I don't know what the price is, it doesn't say. I'm assuming it's relatively cheap. You go in and you're allowed to sift through. I think you pay by the hour. So they went in, and after 1 hour of wet sifting, Arkansas State Park said they found this fucking diamond, which they named HIMO. Himo? It's the 4 initials of each of their children. And it weighs 1.90 carats, about the size of a pony bead. What the fuck is a pony bead? How is that the comparison?
1.9 carat diamond. That's uncut, I imagine. I mean, that would make a very large wedding ring. I mean, not like the wedding ring that you see like a billionaire woman wear, but a very big one.
Big one. Apparently, the park says as of November 10th, there have been 581 diamonds registered there in 2022. An average of 1 to 2 diamonds are found by park visitors each day. I didn't know you could just go pull diamonds out of shit. What the fuck?
I want to go get a diamond.
Is this where we should be right now? Instead of here, podcasting? We should be in Arkansas, sifting through diamond stuff.
I've heard Arkansas is sneaky beautiful.
Parts of it.
Northwestern, I believe.
Fayetteville is amazing.
The Ozark Mountains.
I went to Camp Ozark.
Is that in Arkansas?
Yes, it is. I don't know why I never thought about this, but yeah, it is.
Why do they send people from Houston to Arkansas?
It's like a really popular destination for Houstonians. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't get into Camp Longhorn.
I definitely could have gotten into Camp Longhorn. Camp Longhorn's trash, though. It's trash.
Right on Inks Lake.
It's like you either go to Ozark and praise Jesus, or you go to Longhorn and you praise the devil. And I chose the former.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, so as somebody who did not grow up in Texas, one thing you learn when you move here is that most of the people who did grow up in Texas went to one of these 2 camps growing up.
Did y'all have, like, in Florida, was summer camp a big thing?
No. I never did it, but everybody I went to temple with did. Everybody knows I'm Jewish, but I'm not full Jew. Like, I'm half Jewish.
Sure.
All the Jewish people I knew, they went to this Camp Coleman or Camp Blue Star, the 2 Jew camps you would go to growing up.
See, there was like specifically the Jews they didn't go to Ozark. Because it was a Christian camp.
Where'd the Jews
I don't
go?
know, their own Jewish camp. Which sounds like bad phrasing.
It does sound like bad phrasing.
Yeah. Why? Wait, I didn't realize this was a regional thing, though. Summer camp.
I mean, maybe
I used to make fun of Barrett, my co-host on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles, because he never went to camp. I was like, fucking loser. Just stayed at home with your parents all summer? What a tool.
Are you friends with any of the kids that you went to Camp Ozark with still?
No.
There we go.
But that's like, I'm 35 years old, Jared. I was, 10. That'd be a really long friendship. 25 years? You friends with anybody you knew 25 years ago?
Yes, handjob swag.
One person?
Yes.
I'm trying to think if I'm friends with a single person from before high school. Because you have to remember, one of the weird things about my childhood was I went to a private school from preschool through 8th grade. And then I went to public school, and all my friends remained in private school. And so I made a whole new group of friends, and I'm still friends with all those guys from high school. That's like my best friend group. But none of the middle school friendships really. I mean, there are people that I'll still, they could text me, we'd be cool, we could chat or catch up or whatever, but nobody that I see regularly from before freshman year of high school.
Huh.
Which is strange. But yeah. Shout out to all the, what was I? Caddo at Camp Ozark. There was 2 tribes. A lot of cultural appropriation was going on there, but there were 2 tribes, the Caddo and the Osage, and you got assigned to one when you went to camp. And then you did sports against each other.
Did you win Color Wars?
What was Color Wars?
Isn't that the thing they do?
I don't know.
You get a color and you go to war?
Yeah, I mean, you had a red band if you were a Caddo, and you had a blue band if you were an Osage.
What's a band? Like a sweat
band?
Like
a sweat band, yeah. It was like real tribalism. I'm surprised there weren't murders. But yeah, Camp Ozark.
Did you have a blob?
Yep. Multiple blobs. So much fun.
I've always wanted to do a blob.
Never done a blob?
Never done a blob.
Gotta get you on a blob, Jared. We gotta get you on a blob. We gotta get out to a blob next summer.
Gotta get blob, blah, blah, blahs, blah, blog.
Good Arrested Development reference.
Thank you.
Hit bolenmedia.com/shop for merch for all of our brands here at Bolen Media. It's a great time to start holiday shopping. Make sure you get your finishing cups for everyone in your family this holiday season. The perfect holiday gift, a finishing cup from bolenmedia.com/shop, where if you're a member of our Patreon page at patreon.com/RossBolenPodcast, you got a 10% off code you can use there on bolenmedia.com/shop to grab yourself a finishing cup, or all of our brands are represented there in the store. You could get a Formula Bone t-shirt. Speaking of which, Formula Bone F1 show recap of the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Dropping later tonight.
Dropping later Monday afternoon. And then you've got the final race of the season this upcoming week, Jared.
I do.
Your first full season of F1 coverage on Formula Bone F1 show, available wherever you listen to RBP.
Never missed an episode.
But listening is only half the fun with Formula Bone.
Oh, I got to watch it.
Massive following on YouTube. Over 70,000 subscribers on YouTube.com. 75,000 now. YouTube.com/Formula Bone to watch the latest episodes. Hosted by Jared Borslow, our own J-Bone. J-Bone! Of course, we are on social media, RBP, on TikTok at The Ross Bolen Podcast, Instagram at The Ross Bolen Podcast, Twitter at Ross Bolen Pod. You can follow me at WR Bolen on Twitter and Instagram. If you were ever going to follow me on Twitter, now's the time, because it might be gone soon. And I'm going to say some really unruly shit on the way out. At Jared Borslow on Twitter and Instagram for J-Bone. We'll be back soon. Until next time, peace be with you. And also with you.